there, teacher friends. My name is Monica Genta, and I am thrilled to have you on today's episode of the Teacher Vlog. Today, I've invited my friend Megan Forbes to the episode, and she is talking about something that is super important in schools. That is multicultural education. Regardless of the dynamics in your classroom, this is something that as teachers, all of us should be incorporating into our curriculum. So whether you are a kindergarten teacher or a high school teacher, whether you teach history or science, I am confident that you are going to find these tips from Megan super, super important. Now, at the end of the episode, stick around because I want to let you know about something else that is so important in schools, and I am confident that we can make some really cool things happen in your hallways soon. But for right now, let's get rolling with this episode. All right, everyone, I'm hanging out with Megan today, and it's a Friday in her classroom, and she was saying she was having a good Friday, not one of those like, oh my gosh, it's Friday. So it's always a good day when it feels like that.
Haven't hit the after lunch crowd yet, though. Sometimes lunch on a Friday, we'll get there.
Yeah, they come in real fired up after lunch on a Friday. So super excited for you to join us. And today's topic is multicultural education, which I think is something that a lot of teachers are craving some tips on this, because it's always this thing where we want to make sure that we are encompassing all students' interests, all students' backgrounds, but sometimes we just don't know how to do it. And I think that you're here to give us a couple of tips on that, and I'm pumped.
Yeah, I love talking about this topic, and I would even add to that even if there are backgrounds of students that are not in your classroom, those are still important to cover as well.
Absolutely.
So, this is like easy for me to do. I know that it's a little bit tougher if you teach maybe math or science, or you have elementary school where you're teaching everything. So I know that can be a little bit tougher, and it's probably the easiest to incorporate in history classes or even into English classes where you can incorporate different texts and different perspectives and all that kind of stuff. So I do have it easy. I understand that part of it. But my 3 tips for incorporating multicultural education and making that part of just the way that you teach all the time is education, empathy, and exposure.
Well, I like it. Oh, I love it when it's like 3 E's. This is good. This is my jam.
I like some alliteration.
Yeah.
In all of my techniques. So that applies for myself first. Like before I can even bring that into my classroom, I have to do that first. And so I have to educate myself about whether it's a topic that I'm trying to learn more about, or whether it's like the backgrounds of my students. So this is only my 3rd year at the school that I'm at. And the majority of the students are Chinese American or Taiwanese American. And when I came in, I didn't know a lot about their history or like even like the recent history of Chinese Americans. And so I knew that I could take it upon myself to learn about that.
Yeah.
And so I had to start with education. I got the exposure. I'm exposed to this new amazing community, and I get to meet all of their parents, and even the community that we live in where I teach, there are a lot of Chinese-owned businesses and food and different shops and stuff. So I have the exposure and I needed to educate myself. So I take like extra classes on the side. I go to universities, and a lot of times universities will offer like Saturday courses or shorter courses just for teachers, just so that you can fill up your knowledge. And if you don't have access to something like that, you can read or you can watch YouTube videos. There's so much great information now just at our fingertips online, but it just takes us, investing in our own education.
Yeah.
And the 3rd piece of that is just having empathy. So I can't just fill myself with knowledge and just have it be like head knowledge and then like be exposed to different communities but not care. Like the reason that I go on a Saturday and not get paid to do PD is because I care. I have empathy for my students. I want to know more about their history. I want to be able to understand their perspective a little bit better. And so if you only have like two of those things, sometimes you're lopsided and it doesn't go as well. But if you can really make sure to incorporate all three of those E's, then you develop as an educator in multicultural education.
Yeah, I love that. That's so cool and it's so powerful and also easy to remember with the alliteration. But I think one thing that you said at the beginning, and I want to tie that kind of together, is that this isn't just for multicultural education for the kids who are actually in your class. This is an exposure for all students to all different cultures, because I know, like me personally, I am in a predominantly Caucasian community. There isn't a lot of different religions or different races and different backgrounds. And so my kids, they're kind of living in this bubble, and it's not necessarily realistic. If they were to move to a different town or a different city, they're going to be exposed to so much of that. And I would never want to not equip my kids. And then it's like this culture shock, right? This true culture shock of like, I didn't even know this world outside of my bubble existed. So
Yeah.
I think that is so important for exposure with so many different things. I mean, when we hopped on this call, you immediately said, here's what we're doing today. And tell the viewers what you're doing in your class today.
With my 8th graders, I have 8th grade English. We just read Anne Frank, so
Cool.
I'm actually doing a facing history unit. Their stuff is free and it's awesome. And it's all about the Jewish resistance to the Nazis. So we're learning all about these Jewish people who did not follow Nazi orders, and they ran off into the forest and they gathered weapons and they blew up Nazi trains and they did all of these amazing acts of resistance. And so that's been a kind of like an exciting thing to learn about, and just applying that to different times throughout history. But I don't think I have any students who are Jewish, actually. They're on like the west side of LA. We're on the east side.
Yeah.
We have different neighborhoods over here, but we need to learn about that. And I'm very intentional as I'm teaching my students who haven't had a lot of exposure to the Jewish community to make sure that we are empathetic as we're talking about Jewish people today and back then, and just what that means and how it's a religion and how it was perceived as a race by Hitler. And we have to handle it carefully. And again, it starts with me. I have to do my own research first before I can lead 200 students in it the next day. So I take my responsibility really seriously to educate myself first.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then you said you were also doing some raps. Tell us a little bit more about those.
Oh my, with my 6th grade history class, we're actually in an ancient China unit right now, but we use vocabulary a lot.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love it. Yes, it's amazing.
We love vocabulary. And right now they're doing a Black History Month rap contest. So they have, if you've never used vocabulary before, they teach through music and they teach through rap. And then they have tons of supplementary resources that go with each rap and music video. And so they are asking kids to like write a song about somebody who was a Black American that had a great impact, and, submit that in a contest and see who wins. So all of my kids do that. So since in ancient history, we don't do any American or any like Black history. So we're just putting that into our curriculum and just kind of trying it out. Our kids love vocabulary.
Yeah.
So they're struggling with the rap part a little bit. I had to do a little freestyling today to help them out walking around, but it's great for research. It's great for writing, and just to expose them to different Black Americans who have had a positive impact. And so they're learning about all these amazing people. And so don't be afraid, to just like veer from your lesson plan a little bit and kind of incorporate something different and then jump back on track. Like all of it is, as long as it's like skills based and you're really teaching them something that like they can apply later, then I always feel like, okay, we can spend a little bit of time on this today. And
that's a really good like closing point, because there are so many opportunities throughout our day, regardless of what curriculum we teach. There's so many ways to weave in multicultural education. If we, as the teachers, make sure that we are educated on it, we can find those areas to be flexible and to just sneak it in there. And I don't want to say sneak it in there because it's not a bad thing, but I would say weave it in there because it is so important, and just that exposure and the education and the empathy, I think it really ties it all together. So mind blown, love it. I'm so tempted to have you like freestyle rap right now, but that's probably not fair. But
I wish I could remember. I wrote a really good one about Michelle Obama about an hour ago. I was like, okay.
Yes. Okay, give us, if you can remember any of that, give us that. If not, what's your final closing thought?
My final closing thought is just to keep those 3 E's in mind: the education, empathy, and exposure. And I know that there are a lot of teachers like yourself that teach in an area where they maybe don't feel empowered to do this because their population isn't very diverse.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that you can't bring in new information and you can't do research and bring in new resources to your students. So look for things like vocabulary, like we both love. Facing history, the Stanford history website has some amazing resources. So there's stuff out there that makes it really easy for you, but we just have to take it upon ourselves to find all these great things to bring into our classrooms.
Yeah, there it is. There's the 4th E, empowerment, right there.
Empowerment.
Whoa! Cut, we're done. That's amazing. I love how the 3 E's of multicultural education just got transformed into the 4 E's when we added that empower. Boom! Love it! Friends, if you want to connect with Megan, you can click below to get connected with her on the Instagrams. But I want to get connected with you on something too. I want to make sure that your hallways are filled with excitement. I want to make sure that the climate and the culture in your school is thriving. And I think that happens when we start the school year off with a bang. And that's why I would love to connect with you and the education leaders of your district to create a very powerful professional development session to welcome you back to school in August, September, or October. One of my favorite things besides teaching kids is teaching teachers, and I have the unique privilege to travel all around the United States to lead professional development with amazing teachers like you. Friends, let's get something set up so when you walk into your next PD session, you are excited rather than thinking, "Dear Lord Jesus, I don't know if I can handle one more awful PD session." Right? You know what I'm saying? Let's make this happen in your school. You can click the link below to get connected on my website. Let's check the calendars and let's transform professional development from average to awesome. Friends, thank you so much for watching this episode. As you walk into your school this week, I want you to remember one really important thing. Hey, you got this.